Hello, my name is Aaron Park, and today we'll be going over 7th grade, lesson 19. So, number 1, Armanak spent 3 hours walking from his home to the nearby lake. If the distance from his house to the lake is 5.4 miles, what was his average speed in miles per hour? So, we want the speed in miles per hour. Now, luckily for us, that's the units that the distance and the time are given in. So this is a simple division. You can notice that we have miles and we have hours. So all we need to do is divide 5.4 by 3, which would give us 1.8 miles per hour. And if you wanted to show the long division, you would simply do something along the lines of this. 3 goes into 5 one time, subtract, carry down to 4, 3 goes into 24 8 times, and this decimal here. So 1.8. The answer is B. Complete the multiplication sentence below and mark the correct answer. 5 times our blank is 3.75. We simply need to solve for this unknown, which means we divide both sides by 5. 5's cancel out here, and we simply need to divide once again. So if we were to show our work, 5 goes into 3 0 times. But it does go into 3.7 or 37, you can think of it as 7 times. And then 25 is obviously 5 times 5, so it goes into it 5 times. Again, the decimal's here, so the decimal will be here in our answer, which is 0.75. C. The distance between the two cities is 80 kilometers. What is the best estimate of the distance between two cities in miles? And we get a conversion, 1 mile to 1.6 kilometers. So we have 80 kilometers times our conversion, which is 1.6 kilometers for every 1 mile. The units cancel out, leaving us with miles, which is what we want. All we need to do is divide 80 by 16. So let us show our work. 1.6. We move the decimal over for both of them. And now 16 goes into 80 how many times? 5 times. And then this is simply 0. The answer is 50 miles. About 50 miles. This is an estimate. So B. Then, Liana weighs 65.6 kilos. What is the best estimate of Liana's weight in pounds? And a kilo is about half a pound. So, now we can just simply multiply by 2. Or you can divide by half. It will give you the same answer. I'll multiply by 2. And we get 6 times 0.6. So let's show our work. It is, of course, 12. Carry the 1. Repeat. 131.2. D. Complete the division sentence below and mark the correct answer. So if we rewrite this using x as our unknown, we get something like this. We can multiply both sides by x and then divide, or we can just flip these. It's the same thing, it's just in one step instead of one. We get something like this. And now we just simply have to divide. 112.5 divided by 9. It goes into 11 once, goes into this 2 times, and then into 43 how many times? I'll put the decimal here early, 4 times. 36, 43 minus 36 is 7. Then this goes into it 7 times, and at this point we can just safely round off and assume that it is D. I realize why. You see, when I carried this down, this is not a 3, but rather a 5, and this is actually just 5. If I write that in a different color, this was the mistake. It should be 5. So we do get the answer here, because this is 45. 9 times 5 is 45, and this would be 0, no remainder. Very good. I'll skip this last question and let you work that out on your own. So, find the x-intercept and y-intercept of the graph of the equation. 5x minus y equals 35. Now, what do we know about our intercepts? Remember, intercepts are points, but since they intercept the axes, one of their values will be 0. The x-intercept intercepts the x-axis, as the name implies, which means its y value is 0, and vice versa for the y-intercept. So, for each, we just need to plug in and solve. The x-intercept, we plug in 0 for y, so a 0 here, if you would imagine. Then we're just left with 5x equals 35. Divide both sides by 5 to get x equals 7. So the x-intercept would be, if we erase this work, it would be 7, 0. Similarly, we plug in 0 for x to solve for the y-intercept. So this term goes away because it's just 0. Y equals 35. We don't even need to do any algebra. It just tells us the answer. 0, 35 for the y-intercept. We can repeat for all of these other problems. They're just the same idea. For instance, why don't we try number 4? We know that the x-intercept has a y value of 0, because if I were to draw a graph, an x-intercept has 0 in the y, right? And a y-intercept has 0 at the x. So, plugging in 0 for y, this is a 0. 4x equals 4. Divide both sides by 4 to get 1. And then, if we now solve for the y-intercept, 0 is something. Plug 0 into x. 4 times 0 is 0, so we can safely ignore it, and we get y equals 4. 0, 4 is our point, the y-intercept. Now this final section, the perimeter of a rectangular park is 72 feet. A rectangular park, let x be the park's width in feet and y the park's length in feet. Write an equation for the perimeter. Well, we just simply have to add the 4 sides, which is, this is another x, this is another y, so this is simply 2x plus 2y equals 72. Now we can simplify because they all divide by 2, so if I use a different color, the 2's all cancel out and this becomes 36. X plus y equals 36 is the simplified form. Find the intercepts of the graph you just wrote. Well, if you simplify it, it becomes extremely apparent that if you plug in 0 for one term, it will just become x equals 36 or y equals 36. So our intercepts are just these 2 points. Which is which? Well, let's see. This one has a 0 in the x, which means it's the y-intercept. And that leaves the other one as the x-intercept. In one state, small bottles have a refund bottle of 4 cents each, and large bottles have double that. Your friend returns both types of bottles and receives 56 cents in total. They give us the equation, and we find the intercepts. We can simplify by dividing everything by 2, which gives us, we can actually divide again by 2. Our simplified version. And then, what's our x-intercept? Plug in 0 for y to get 14. And then plug in 0 for x to get 7. Give 3 possibilities for the number of each size bottle your friend could have returned. Now, this question is asking us, we just need to pick a point on this line somewhere. On the line, not below it or above it. On the line. We already have 2 possibilities. The 2 intercepts are on the line, of course. They're right here and right here. So we have 1 2, and all we need is a third possibility. So to do that, we can simply plug in and solve. So what if we plug in 3 for x? This would mean he returned 3 small bottles. Let's see how many large bottles he would need to return then. 4 times 3 is 12. Subtract 12 from both sides to give us 8y equals 44. Divide both sides by 8. 44 over 8 simplifies to 11 over 2, which is a weird number because it's not whole. So you could try to find a point that has a whole number, but I'm sure there are some. But in this case, I'm satisfied with this answer, even if it doesn't make too much sense in the real world. He returned 5.5 large bottles. Now, thank you.